Good morning, everyone. I'll call to order the Board of Franklin County Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, October 14th.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Present.
Commissioner Howard?
Present.
Chair Waymeyer?
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson?
Present.
Commissioner Dunn?
Present.
All right, let's have a pledge of allegiance, and then we'll have our invocation, which today is led by Reverend Bruce Beatty from the Church of the Nazarene in Ottawa. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
For which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, Reverend Beatty.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, Commission. We thank you for your hard work, and let's just pray for today's meeting. Father, we give you praise for this day that you have given us. We would ask that you would be present in the order of the day. We are coming together at this particular moment for Franklin County Commission meeting. We thank you for those that are part of the commission, for their love of the county, and for their willingness to serve in the capacity that they are. Would ask that you would bless each one and that you would bless their families through this moment. Lord, we ask that you would be with our nation as we are coming up to elections for president and for many other locations and positions. We would ask that you would be with all of our county workers, that you would just keep them safe and have a blessed day. But as the commission looks over the agenda and has those items they need to address, we would ask for wisdom. We would ask for discernment and professionalism as they carry on the business of our county. Lord, we give you praise again for this day. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything under correspondence, organizational business, Derek?
No, sir.
All right. I know we have some folks, at least with the ability to dial in for public comment. Can you tell me, Janet, if you see anybody there that has?
I do not see anyone on here for public comment.
All right. Our consent agenda today would be to consider approving the minutes from our October 7th meeting. I believe we've already approved the study session minutes for the 5th. So is there a motion to approve the commission meeting minutes from October 7th?
Commissioner Dickinson, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
All right.
Mr. Dunn, second.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Stottlemyre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. All right. Our sole item of business today, Paul Bean from Franklin County Development Council is going to tell us about a study conducted by Mark Nelson. You on, Paul?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Colt. Good morning, commissioners and staff. Since I'm the only one on the agenda, I figure I'll fill the full 45 minutes and just ramble on and on if that's okay.
Definitely.
Just kidding. I wanted to just come before you briefly today. We at FCDC contracted with Marks Nelson and Highline Partners, and the purpose of that effort is to work on becoming more proactive in marketing Proximity Park and also other areas of Franklin County. And so Marks Nelson's role in this was to do a research project for us. And I think they interviewed most of you. They interviewed city leadership, county leadership, some business leadership and others in the community, and did some background and research in that regard. They also did a very thorough study on industry and what industries are growing, what industries are not, because we certainly want to target the ones that are growing. But they matched through a process of filters, very extensive filters, a process to identify who should be our target industries, again, based on fit, goals from our county and city and the state, and how those objectives and goals fit with the needs and desires of certain industry. And so it was a very good, very well done study. And if you ever want to see all 48 pages of it, I'm more than happy to send that to you. It is very well done, I must say. But wanted to share with you the outcome of that to keep you informed and then let you know where we're going from here. They identified our key industries that we should be targeting as food production, advanced manufacturing, and logistics and distribution, which of course the last one is not a surprise at all. When I speak to food distribution, the first thing that comes to my mind, which was alarming, is, we're going to have a slaughterhouse on the south side of town. That's not the case. They certainly heard that that's not something we're interested in. When we speak to food manufacturing and food production, that's kind of what we're looking at. Kind of like we've seen the pretzel, Dots Pretzel up in Edgerton, and then there was recently another pretzel company that's coming to Lawrence. So snack foods, prepared foods, frozen foods, maybe in some pet food industry is kind of a good fit for us and for this region. From the standpoint of advanced manufacturing, they're looking at machinery manufacturing and plastic and rubber products manufacturing. Again, we already have some of that. And part of their analysis is looking at what's already here and being well served. That obviously supports that we have trained workforce in some regards. That's a key factor. And so some of this you'll see a little bit of similarity to some of the industry we have in the region already, which makes a lot of sense. And of course, logistics and distribution, we already have Walmart and American Eagle. So what they're targeting in there is warehouse and storage, merchant wholesalers, durable goods, professional and commercial equipment, supply merchant wholesalers, machinery equipment, and non-durable goods. Warehousing, wholesale. So these are the industries that we'll target. And as you all know, in the past, we've kind of been reactive in the sense that we wait for a request for information from KCADC or for the Commerce Department, and then we respond. And that's really been the case with COVID, since we haven't been able to go to conferences or get out and visit folks too much in that regard. What we're doing now is starting to position ourselves to be very proactive and very targeted. And so our social media through Highline Partners, and that's the next step, we will start working on improving and probably totally redesign and redo the web page and start over on that. But the social media will be what you would consider the shotgun approach, kind of here's the story, here's who we are, and here's our strengths. Where this will really move us forward is in the direct marketing that I'll utilize both in print and electronic. Certainly, hopefully someday being able to visit face to face, but we will target specifically these three industries. And that'll be through site selectors and industry and others that we're working with. So just had a meeting yesterday, a conference call with Highline Partners. And we're beginning that process to where we'll start to identify what is our story. And I look forward to sharing that presentation with you in the not too distant future, because that'll be the message we'll all want to be sending and sharing and speaking in that same way to everybody that we want to attract. And also to let the community know. I think it'll be a very positive story and something we can all be very proud of. And I look forward, again, to sharing that with you. So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. This was a major project from an expense standpoint. I do want to lift up that Evergy has agreed to pay for almost half of this. It's a $70,000 contract, and Evergy's committed to $30,000. So I do want to lift up our utility partner in the county for their wonderful support, and couldn't have done it without them. With that said, I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, one more thing I do want to share, just as a general update. We have an RFP that we're working on that's due on Friday. Can't say a lot about it in a public session, but a very exciting opportunity. So I want you to know there's still industry that's looking and Proximity Park is on the radar. And I've also had three very robust and ongoing conversations in the last month with three different commercial developers that are interested in looking at developing something in Proximity Park. So while COVID has certainly slowed things down, there's still activity, still interest, and a lot of us, just like FCDC and a lot of industry, we're looking forward and working on positioning ourselves to really come out going full tilt in 2021. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Paul, this is Roy Dunn, Commissioner Dunn.
Yes, sir.
Was any of the like Silicon Valley type operations looked at all for Proximity Park?
The struggle we have there, Roy, right now is our workforce. We don't have a workforce that can accommodate that technology industry. And so that's a challenge that we have. We are looking at some pretty new, robust, and again, I'll come back and share some of this at a later date too, on some workforce development programming with the school district and with Neosho County. But that's the challenge we have, Roy, is we don't really have a workforce that can support that industry at this time. At the capacity it needs to be supported.
Thank you.
Good, great question. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Dickinson, more of a comment. I think it's kind of like real estate. If you were a realtor and you got through this last economic downturn, then, you know, it was just a plus to survive. So if you have companies that are looking at Proximity Park in the middle of COVID, then those are really great leads.
And then
Yeah, I agree, Commissioner. I'm excited. My sense is when the dust does settle, whenever that is on this pandemic, there's a significant amount of capital sitting on the sidelines with industry. They do know they have to readjust their distribution lines and readjust their manufacturing. And so I think there's a great opportunity coming out of the pandemic to really have some great success. So yes, the fact they're kicking tires right now is a great sign. I do agree.
All right, Paul, we appreciate you checking in with us and updating us on the study.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
All right, thank you. Derek, you want to get us started on a staff report?
Yeah, it'll be pretty quick today. I do want to bring a request that I received to your attention, and I know that Commissioner Dunn, at the very least, is aware of this. We received a letter from the Franklin County Veterans Day Committee. They are, at least as of putting this letter together, they were intending to host a Veterans Day event. I don't know that to what extent that is still on, given the pandemic, but they made a request for $1,200. And, you know, I always bring these types of requests to the board's attention. So I just wanted to throw that out for your consideration. Roy, do you have some thoughts on this?
yes, this is Commissioner Dunn. They're not going to have a parade this year. They're not going to have reenactments down there in Forest Park, but they are going to enhance the displays and what's going to be at City Park, and that's going to be there from the 1st of November to the 14th of November for 2 weeks. So that's the main emphasis of Veterans Day events this year. And I've talked to the organizers about that due to the fact that I'm not going to have a parade and I'm not doing events down at Forest Park, that I felt like a more appropriate number to help out with the enhancements that are going to be down at City Park would be about $500 this year. And that's, I'll take any questions if the other commissioners would like to give them.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions for Roy on this, or me for that matter?
I know, this is Don. I know it's something we've supported every year. If they are going to do a reduced of what they can do this year, I don't know about the number, that you talk that over with them, but I think Roy has talked to them, and I think they've come to a pretty reasonable thing. I mean, if they're still going to try and have something, I'm a firm backer of, we've always supported it. They want to do it in a reduced faction at a reduced amount. I'm sure it'll be fine with me when it comes that time. That's it.
So this is something, Derek, you're gonna go ahead, it's well within your limit, you're just checking in and, making sure that we're okay with the $500 request?
Yeah, I don't ever make these decisions. I mean, it's one thing to, if there's a $1,200 expense, let's call it an IT related expense with one of our vendors, then of course that, make those decisions every day. But when it's a community partner like this, requesting money for an event or a gathering, I always bring that to the commissioners and ask that you make that determination. So yeah, I think just wanting to know what amount are you comfortable giving them, and Roy has proposed 500. And it sounds like Don's on board with that. So I suppose I would just pose that to the whole board. Are you okay with a $500 donation for the Veterans Day event this year?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
This is Commissioner Howard. I got a question for you, Derek. This is going to come out of transit guest tax probably, right?
I would say it is certainly eligible for transient guest tax. Yes, we know these events bring people in from outside the community.
Okay, I'd be okay with that too.
This is Commissioner Dickinson. I think I'd be more okay with the 500 than the 1,200 this year.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else on that? All right. Well, if you have been over near the annex at all, you'll note that the remodel is coming along pretty well. I've been impressed with how quickly Lloyd Builders appears to be moving on that. So that project is well underway. And then finally, and I'll talk COVID just briefly and segue to Nick. We continue with our COVID response. Nick and I have been on the phone a lot this week with the superintendents, and do want to state that certainly we appreciate our partnership with them. They've been good to work with, and they are just they're in impossible spots, as are we here at the county and what we're trying to do. This is just, say it all the time, but this is just a completely unprecedented event, and there isn't a blueprint for how to respond. Nobody has one. I mean, there hasn't been a pandemic like this in most of our lifetimes. And so, but we continue to work with them, and we'll continue to work with them through the fall. And we will make the best decisions that we can for the people of Franklin County. And that's really all I have. Colt, Nick, are you on?
I'm here.
Yes.
Just to kind of follow up with what Derek said, we have been working hard. Nursing homes have been taking up a lot of our time here lately due to the fact that we do have a couple nursing homes that are that do have positive employees or residents in them. That has put us where we're having to work hand in hand with them, not only in testing, but when those individuals do get symptomatic and need to be transported to the hospital, we got to be careful that we don't overwhelm our resources in EMS or in the hospital. So currently we have 3 admitted at Advent. We have 3 at Shawnee Mission for our county that are COVID positive. That's the most we've seen throughout this pandemic. And with that, when we have the routine day-to-day transfers, the routine day-to-day stuff going on along with the COVID transfer that takes a while to get the trucks cleaned up afterwards, we're having to work hand in hand to ensure that we're providing all of our county with 911 coverage as well. So it's been an adventure on that. Nursing homes have been great to work with. I have a phone call with them on Tuesdays. That phone call pretty much discussed what visits are going to look like. And most of our nursing homes have dropped back to window visits. They kind of pulled the plug on face-to-face visits to see how this plays out and what we need to do in the future. So that's been a big part of this week and last week. We have had conversations with the schools. We have had conversations with the superintendents yesterday just to make sure we're all on the same page of what it looks like if they have positives in the school, contact tracing, and how we're going to work through that. So they've continued to work well with us. Other than that, we do have 463 total positive cases since March. So we have seen an increase in that over the past few weeks with our positives at OU and our positives that have popped up throughout the county. So we also have to track for the nursing facilities a 2-week average of what we're looking at. Last week, as of Thursday, we had a 9.58% positive rate from the total number of tests we've done to the total number of positives we had. The cutover point's at 10% when they have to test every employee every week. So we've been riding right along that line of if they're going to have to or not. So trying to figure out what to do with that. Other business at the health department is we've had the flu shot clinic. We've advertised it. We are pretty solid with appointments every 10 minutes. In our drive-through testing, we are giving more shots than they have in the past. People want the flu shot. We're seeing good attendance at these outreach drive-throughs that we're doing. The trailer we were able to purchase has helped us out to give them an operating space. We've used that for the testing at the nursing facilities, and we've also been using that for the flu shot clinic. So that's been a good purchase. We have got Williamsburg and Pomona completed. We do have Richmond coming up on the 20th. We have Wellsville on the 22nd, and we have the big one in Forest Park on the 29th. So those are 3 more opportunities for a drive-through flu shot. Moving on from that, as I said, EMS has been busy working with nursing facilities, the hospital, and getting transfers for some of our COVID patients. Plus, we've seen our call volume continue to rise. So we've been busy over there. We have been able to get a few more people hired. We're 1 employee short at this time, but we are getting through that. Communications, I got a phone call from AT&T. If you remember when we switched over to the state system, we worked well with AT&T with the process. They've asked us to demo a CAD system that they're trying to work out through the state. So one of the benefits of the state system is you can pick up pretty much and move to any other dispatch center that does have that system. And if in theory everybody used the same CAD system, you could dispatch from anywhere in the state. One of the things with the rollover, for example, we have Emporia as our backup center. There's 2 hosts for the 911 system. There's a south and a north, and we have been asked to have a backup on the south in case the north host comes out, and then a backup that's close. So with that, they want to demo what it would be like for us to dispatch for Barton County or something like that. So they've asked if we would participate in a study with AT&T Rapid Deploy, where we would essentially take a call from Barton County and then using the CAD system, be able to dispatch them on a call. So that's something that we're working on, that we should be rolling out or getting in our hands within the next month or so. So quite a few moving parts going on there. With that, I will answer any questions you might have.
This is Commissioner Howard. I don't really have a question, Nick. I just want to piggyback on the flu shot drive-throughs. I participated in the one at Williamsburg. Couldn't get any easier, any quicker than what that was. It was really worked well, and I had a lot of positive comments on people that went through that how impressed they were with how quick and easy it was. So would encourage, if you didn't catch Williamsburg or Pomona, to get to one of the others. So that's all I have.
All right, well, thank you, Nick, for all the update.
Thank you.
Sheriff Richards, are you on this morning?
Sheriff Richards let me know that he was, had nothing to report this morning and he wasn't going to be on.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, so just going off of memory. David Lee, Public Works.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. If you recall, we submitted a couple of bridges to the to KDOT to be considered for the 2022 off-system bridge program. KDOT received 89 applications totaling $46 million. They were able to select 13 bridges to use the $8 million that they have allotted for that particular program. Unfortunately, the 2 bridges that Franklin County submitted were not selected. There is really no good way to increase our chances of being selected. They usually go by sufficiency rating of 35 or less, which one of our bridges qualifies for that. But there's such a high demand for that, and they only have so many dollars available. So we will keep submitting and hope for success next year. Speaking of bridges, we had our bridge engineers come down and take a look at 3 different bridge decks here last month. I received a recommendation letter from them for those three decks. 2 of them need treatment similar to what we did on Colorado Road, and then Jackson Road. The Jackson Road Bridge, they're recommending something more substantial than that. They're actually recommending that we remove all of the concrete and replace it with new concrete and epoxy-coated reinforcing steel to tie it all together. So I've asked our engineers for a little bit more information on that so that I can bring a good recommendation to Derek and you all on how to proceed with that bridge. Also met with KDOT and CFS engineers on the project just north of Lane. We had a field check site visit last Friday. That project is in good shape. It remains on track. I found out that it's scheduled to be on the April bid letting date for KDOT. So in the spring, we should be able to get that project underway, or at least bid. The construction costs are a little bit more than what we anticipated at the beginning. That's primarily due to once you get into the design, you really figure out what is needed and what those costs are going to be. I suspect that by the time this is all over with, the construction costs are going to be over $400,000. But part of that is due to while we're on site, we decided to lengthen the project to make sure that we cover the area that gets washed out each time it floods. And we're also looking at increased costs for traffic control. Ordinarily, we would close that road during construction, but Lane is in such a peculiar spot, and access is difficult, especially during times of flood. So we're going to try to keep one lane open during the construction, which will require traffic signals on either side of the project, and that gets quite expensive. But from a safety standpoint and ease of traffic, we think that might be the best solution. Also, we were able to finish blade patching on Labette Road yesterday. Most of the severe wheel ruts that hold water, snow and ice, those have been filled in. And due to all the patching that we've done on this road, we're going to, next year, we're going to include that 7 miles in the chip and seal program, which will help, it'll help protect the patches and certainly improve the driving surface. And speaking of patching, Kilo, they're getting started about a month later than I anticipated. So they're going to be starting in late October, early November. The long-range forecast indicates good weather. And so as long as the temperatures are at least 50 degrees and rising, there will be no problem in putting down the asphalt. And that's all that I have at this point.
Are you looking at bidding out chip seal this fall so we can get early on the schedule, or?
I will do it right after the first of the year.
Okay.
I'll do it early January.
Gotcha.
And the other thing I plan to do, we've always had a late ending date. We're going to move that up at least a month. So hopefully this gets done sooner rather than later.
All right. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Janet?
Good morning, Commissioners. Just one thing to note on David's chip and seal project. We can't bring that to you any earlier than January 1st, because if we do and we vote to award, if we vote on a project in this year, it would encumber the funds in this year, and that would mean we would encumber the funds twice in this year. So we have to wait until January to encumber the funds in the year that they belong in. So, and that's according to our auditor. So that's why we continue to do it in January.
That makes sense. I didn't realize that.
Yes. So just a couple of things. I have 2,730 mail ballots sitting in my office right now, ready to walk out the door. I'm planning to take those over to the post office so I can personally visit with the postmaster as soon as this meeting is over. We already have a lot of action in early voting. We've probably had 25 to 30 people already early vote this morning. So that kicked off today. All our early voting times are out on the Franklin County Clerk's page on our Franklin County website. So everyone can go out there and check out those times. We have 4 late nights till 7, and we're open 3 Saturdays from 9 to 1. We have our signs out in front of the courthouse letting people know that we're ready to vote. So anyone can feel free to stop by when we have our signs out. Just a reminder to everyone that you should not wear anything that identifies any candidate when you're coming into a polling location, or any political statements when you're coming in, or you'll be asked to remove them and put them away, or leave and come back when you have something else appropriate on to vote. So, and that's within 250 feet of the courthouse, because we are on a voting site right now. So don't have anything on your cars or anything like that, because that would be a violation of the electioneering statutes. So one more thing to note about voting, we do have our brand new drop box out in front of the courthouse that we put up during the primary election. It says ballot drop box on it. It's very pretty, and it was paid for through the Secretary of State's office with COVID money. So no tax dollars were spent on it, but it's an amazing asset to our community. We have utilized the treasurer's box in the past, and they've been so nice to let us use that. But now we have our very own box that's of substantial size, so we can collect a lot of ballots, and we're going to need to with this many advanced ballots going out. I believe last presidential election, we had 12 to 1,500 advanced ballots go out, and this time we have close to 3,000. So more than double what we had last presidential election. So it's going to be a lot of extra work. And as most of you know, I hired an additional person for my office, and she has been much needed. So we have 2 more drop boxes that we have to put out places, and we have identified one space out in Wellsville that we plan to set a box out at today. So we'll have another box exactly like the box at the courthouse out in Wellsville for those citizens out there. And we've put a note in their mail ballot so they're aware that that box will be there and available for them to drop their ballots into. So, and we'll be getting that out on social media too. So lots of action in the election office today. Do you guys have any questions about any of that?
This is Commissioner Dickinson, not a question, but a comment. And I wouldn't even have thought of this, but on the news last night, they said, please do not try to sanitize your ballot, because that could make the vote not readable. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Don't try to spray your ballot with anything. Going through the mail process, it's not really handled by too many people in the mail process, so it'll have plenty of days to sit without anyone touching it. And it's likely that our mail carrier won't even bring those over to us. They will just let us know how many cases they have over at the post office so we can come and get them, because it will be an overwhelming volume for our regular carrier to carry over to us. So I'll be working with the post office to make sure that all of that flows smoothly, and that we have a good chain of command from the post office over to the election office to get those processed. So I think more importantly than your vote being unreadable is just the ballot as a whole being unreadable. There are certain marks on the ballot that make them readable by electronic equipment, and it will be very overwhelming for us to have to hand count all of those ballots. So just trust that we're doing everything we can to stay safe. And most of these ballots have been stuffed for a couple days now, so they've been sitting at rest for a couple of days without anyone from my office even touching them. And definitely by the time they get to you, only your postman will have carried it. So if you let it sit for a little bit, it will be okay.
I just want to say I appreciate Janet and her team, and gosh, kind of a no-win situation that she's put in. So many people are going to be critical of the election this year, the process, and sensitive of the process. They expect it to go well, but they're looking for any reason in the world for it not to. So, but I couldn't be happier that her and her team are going to be representing the county and overseeing the process. So
I appreciate that, Commissioner Waymeyer, and we are working really hard to make sure that we still follow all of our processes as far as checking in mail ballots. We won't be skimping on checking the signatures, and I imagine there'll be a fair amount of overtime for my employees while we get all of these mail ballots checked back in, but we don't want to miss any step and let anything slip through the cracks, because this is very important.
Yeah, I have no doubt this election is going to make it onto the evening news, but not here. So I'm glad about that. So, all right. I think that's it for staff reports. Commissioner Dunn told me he's busy on a KAC meeting representing the county at the Kansas Association of Counties, but he had nothing to add from a commissioner's comment. Nor do I. I'll go down the rest of the list. Commissioner Howard?
No, I don't either.
All right. Commissioner Stottlemyre?
That's the only thing. I'll be going to Wellsville City meeting tonight, and I would say something on the COVID-19. I have been attending some of the Ottawa High School volleyball games, and I think Ottawa High School is taking it very serious. They temperature check everybody before you come in. They limit the amount of people that come in. They during the game, they make the girls, anytime they come in and out, they have to have their mask on. They use hand sanitizers every time they come in and out off the floor. Every time anybody other than a player touches the volleyball, they switch it out and completely sanitize and bring another in. So I think they're doing, things like that, And I give them a commendment on last night. They were in a real predicament. They had 6 varsity players not eligible to play last night. They don't have it, but they've been close to it. So that made them bring up several junior varsity players never played varsity in their life and they played the number 5 team in the state last night and beat them all 3 sets. So I thought that was really taking the bull by the horns and dealing with a bad issue and making it turn out really good. So that's all I got.
That's a neat story. I appreciate that. Commissioner Dickinson.
Yes, I realized last week that I had forgotten to say that I had gone to a chamber coffee the Friday before last for Hope House, who was celebrating 30 years, and what a year to be celebrating 30 years of all the years to be helping the people in our community that have needed them, and it's been even more this year than ever before. They had just the day before had a lot of clients come in because they were having their utilities cut off, and so they were trying to help as many of those as they could. It just kind of reminded me that so many people are really suffering through this pandemic, and so if you are not, and I actually went out and bought a bunch of groceries to take down there, just help them out any way you can. And if your church, you might, if you're affiliated with the church, if you, just kind of want to bring that up and just say, is there something that we can do for them? They're looking forward to the holidays to see what they can do. In that respect, they can't have meals like they have before, but they're trying to get out there as much as they can. So anyway, and they also could use some more volunteers. A lot of their volunteers are getting older, and they need some nice strong backs to move some of that stuff. So, and then last week, the chamber coffee was for the health department promoting flu shots. I had already gotten mine, but several of the people that attended got theirs. And, just a reminder of how important it is to get a flu shot this year in the middle of this pandemic. Then on Sunday night, I went to, and I'm surprised that the sheriff didn't come on, but I did attend the Faith and Blue meeting. And it was kind of interesting that was actually planned before all of this happened, but it kind of it was to bring the faith community and the blue community together, to just kind of say we're on the same page. And there were a lot of our sheriff's department people, the Wellsville Police Department, the Ottawa Police Department. There was a highway patrol there, and a lot of people from the community, kids, families. And then they had a meeting later that they had kind of a panel of the sheriff, the Ottawa police chief, and the Wellsville police chief, and they asked them some questions, and some of them got kind of personal as far as targeting and yeah. And I am really proud of our county and the leaders that we have in our law enforcement, that I feel that we are really not going to go there. And then they had asked, what can the churches do for them, or even the community do for them? And, they just said, just a wave of your hand, or a, how are you doing? Or we appreciate you, means a whole lot to them right now. And then they said, if the churches would be the churches, and, the 10 Commandments are there. We already know how our society should be acting. And if everybody in our society followed those, their jobs will be so much easier. And then yesterday morning, I had chamber board meeting. A lot of that is still about COVID and where we can go, and what we can't do and what we can do. So many of the things that they do to for money throughout the year, they've not been able to do. They've been talking about what they're going to do for their annual meeting and what they can do and what they can't do. So COVID's going to be around for a while, unfortunately. And I guess we just all have to deal with it. But I'm proud of our county and our response to COVID. Our numbers are going up. Our hospitalizations are going up. So we all still need to be vigilant. And that's it.
All right. Monday, we have what would be a normally scheduled study session. We'll see Friday if anything comes up to go on the agenda and whether or not we have that meeting. Anything else before we adjourn, Derek?
No, sir.
Or commissioners, speak up.
Can I ask you one? What did you say about Friday?
Monday would be our normally scheduled study session. If we'll find out Friday if.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get the agenda, find out if there's any items that need to go on there. So.
Because I was going to tell you, if it's something Friday, I got to go to prison Friday. So.
I feel like there's a story there. Yeah. All right. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
On.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Howard, second.
All right. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.